background, I to be the treasurer for 5 years. Then when Hyannis Open Streets opened up, I got to be the treasurer of that committee. I was precinct warden and precinct 12 in Marston Mills for a number of years. In the last 6 years, I volunteer every Thursday. I'm at the Barnstable Police Station on Main Street. So even during the
Sierra Academy.
froze there the last couple of weeks has been very cold because they don't have heat on. But in 2016, I was put on as an associate. And at that time, Martin Hoxie, who had been with the chairman for approximately 30 years, he'd been here a long time, was the chairman, and David Nunheimer was the vice chairman. And Ron Samprini had been the clerk for many, many years. He grew up here and knew everything going on. And I think it was in 2020 that Ron moved out of the area, out of Police of Hyannis. So he had to resign from the board. Being the next one in line seniority wise, I sort of moved into that position and started acting as the clerk unofficially. And during 2023, Martin Hoxie had a lot of health issues. And he wasn't able to attend, so David Nunheimer took over as holding the meetings. Well, David is an attorney, so there were numerous times that he was in court and couldn't be there either. So I sort of took over. I would say probably 40% of the meetings held in 2023. I held the meetings and still acted as the clerk. So I signed the reports.
Double duty.
I signed the reports and went from there. So it's only as a result of it's time to vote for the 3 members in their offices that this whole thing, I believe, came to light. But I wasn't officially assigned as a full-time member. So that's my background.
Okay. So do you have any questions?
Nope, I think I'm good.
I guess you're now living still in Hyannis at this point?
So far.
Yeah, and what do you think the challenges are in your role, would be in your role if you're elevated to the position as far as you know kind of what's been going on and how things are working? What kinds of things do you see are challenges that you'll have in your new role?
I think with Erin Logan handling our affairs, she does a fantastic job. Along with David Anthony. I think we do pretty good. I'm pretty confident in what we do. I don't think that there's as far as improvement goes. I think that I along with some of the other members have attended the ABC when they have meetings, at least once a year off Cape. They have the ABC out of Boston has meetings different places. So I've gone to those. As far as any improvements go, I think the most improvement we've had is that we've changed from Mondays to the last Wednesday of the month has been the most convenient for everybody. Because early Monday mornings is not always worked out for everybody. But I think we do pretty well. I think we've got a good crew. We got Officer Kelsey from the police station and other than that, I think we're holding the people, the businesses to in the new system now where they can register online and do that. That saved a lot of work. So I think that we're making improvements as we go.
Good, excellent. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. That's that. Cynthia will be in touch. You know.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Larry. Have a good day.
Just a second before you call the next person. Cynthia.
Yeah.
Be right with you.
I'm confident that
He served.
who knows the system.
I feel the same way, especially after talking to him last week. He's been taking a lot of responsibility there, for the last, year, and, he seems like a good guy.
Well, and plus the chair recommended him and the person who was applying it.
That's right.
Recommended
Yeah,
him.
I don't know if you were here.
I
I watched the meeting.
Yeah,
Did you?
so
Yeah.
I feel comfortable.
Does it have to appear on the agenda? A vote?
Well, after, no, we vote,
You can just
and
do
then it goes to the full council.
I see. Let's vote.
How do you feel? Sorry? All right, so can somebody make a motion?
I make a motion to elevate Larry Decker to full member position.
Seconds. And then all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Unanimous. All right.
look at that, doing people's work.
Great.
All right.
Mr. Coyle was next.
Okay.
Mr. Coyle, come on in.
Oh, hey again.
Sorry about that.
No, no worries. How you doing?
I'm new to town, so.
Yeah.
I was sitting on that side of the table.
Nice to meet you, Seth Burdick.
Tom Coyle, I go by my middle name. Hi, nice to see
So
you.
Tom is your middle name?
Yeah, Charles Thomas Coyle.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with Charles as a name? My father didn't want me being called Callie in Boston. I'm Charlie. You don't have an accent. That's because I was born in Bristol, Connecticut. That's good.
Well, thank you for coming in, Mr. Coyle, appreciate it, and thank you for being willing to give you time to the town, because we certainly need people like yourself. I'd like to start the questioning with the same question I asked everybody. Right now in town, we have a couple of big divisive issues going on, as I'm sure you're aware of. So it's important to me, and I'm sure the people sitting at this table, that we're able to come to consensus. So if you could tell us about an issue or a time where you've had to come to consensus in your, not personal, in your professional life. A time when you had to come to consensus, maybe something you didn't necessarily agree with, or you have to kind of change your thinking about it. You could tell us about a time when you have to do that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's probably an innate part of me. I've really, my career has been three different chunks. I was an airfield manager and test pilot in the Army for my first 10 years. So I was in the perpetual mode of being in consensus. And then I spent 20 years in wireless technologies, and those were three startups that were always trying to get established. All three got acquired for over $100 million. So we were very successful, but the consensus bit that was most relevant and most difficult was probably with my small company that made these little chips that went inside barcodes. And those little chips could communicate to a handheld reader, and you could read all the inventory in the store in 90% less time than if you had to scan the barcodes. But to achieve that, you had to have a standard and interface in a standard way with the chip. And so we had all the squabbling vendors like this, elbows up saying, you want our standard.
Sure.
And so we eventually achieved consensus based upon what customers really wanted. And customers dictated really what the solution should be. It's, if you listen to what the grassroots want, and that was one of my career important moves in my career. For about 2 or 3 years, I was a requirements analyst, and I was just supposed to listen to what you want, and you want, and you want, and I would have to document those requirements. So to achieve consensus, I reverted back to my requirements analyst days. And I simplified things, and I said, well, here's the contention. There were about 4 or 5 different issues, and we need to agree upon how we're going to do things. And we did achieve consensus. It became a standard. My company then got acquired for $230 million with $5 million in revenue just about 2 years later, because we were part of the standard. So,
Nice.
so that's a long-winded answer to your question.
Congratulations. Well, that was something.
Yeah. Councilor.
Yeah, I'm just curious of, what else that you worked on as far as wireless technology goes?
Well, it mainly has been this thing called RFID, radio frequency identification. That's one chunk. And then GPS tracking systems would be another chunk. I actually worked for the company Mark IV that made the Easy Pass. So, those kinds of things, have been most of my career. I was the chair of the MIT group on wireless technologies for about 10 years. We used to run, these huge events and, basically I won the event of the year over 5 years in a row because we simplified things and presented to people. We asked people to come to MIT and put your stuff on the table so you can see it and you can touch it rather than PowerPoint and people with that. So it really came down to these computer chips. The computers have gotten so much more powerful and effective. One of the other companies I worked with did micro LEDs, the light emitting diodes, the little things that you see in all these signs and all. Well, they came up with a little chip that was 1/10 the size of the current LEDs. And they just got acquired about 3 years ago. And so we connected the RFID plus the ability to see what that chip has inside with the LEDs. And you have a combination of things, and it's just remarkable. But, one of the biggest challenges for adult centers, as well as every other aspect of life, is how much clutter is out there. I mean, you guys got to be under siege with all the information coming at you. So one of our core strengths, with the groups I've been dealing with is to simplify things, just so you can prioritize. Here's my top 10 list of stuff I really want. You throw it out there. People tell you how dumb you are for eight out of the 10. But you can achieve consensus. You obviously are getting people saying, "Oh, yeah, you're dumb, you're stupid." But let's be proactive about things.
Councilor Chuckles?
And tell us a little bit, Tom, about how long have you been on the Cape then?
I'm a lifetime caper. It was Martha's Vineyard though. I grew up in Martha's Vineyard. I just moved to this part of the Cape 2 years ago from Connecticut, and I was thinking about going back to Martha's Vineyard, but I wanted to be, it's just the ferry boat. I must have traveled 1,000 times. I didn't want to do that anymore. So I got here 2 years ago, bought a place right next to Craigville. I love the tabernacle in Oak Bluffs, and there was a tabernacle right there in Craigville. So I said, that's a good fit by me. So I've been renovating a cottage, pretty much the last year and a half. And I came here to retire. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, and how come what's your interest in serving the town of Barnstable at this time?
Well, the seniors have always been a priority. My father was always enlisting my support at age 8. He and my mother started the senior program in the town of Wellesley. And my father recruited me to set up chairs in the elementary schools where they every Wednesday night get together. And that's all they did for the seniors is just have an auditorium. And half the time my father would sing because he had a great voice. But then about 4 years later, I got involved. The Council on Aging in Wellesley had a little dumpy place in a basement, and seniors were forced to go up and down stairs. And I said, we got to be able to do better than this. I had moved back to the area, my technology tour. I'd been in 10 different states. Every 3 years I get a job offer, and so I moved. But I got back to Wellesley, and so we started a Council on Aging Friends group, the Friends of Wellesley Council on Aging. I was the founder and a president, the co-founder and president, and we started an initiative to get funds dedicated so that the seniors could have a decent center. The center here is huge. But Wellesley got 10 million in funding a year after we started politicking for it, and we built a new senior center and redefined the lives of seniors in town. So I've always been a volunteer. I was a volunteer in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I was a volunteer of the year back in 1994 for English as a second language programs. Basically, I went in and say I wanted to help teach people how to speak English, and they said, well, we have a 3-year waiting list. I go, 3-year waiting list on people in chat size. So I came up. I worked in the R&D center of the Department of Transportation. I went to the center's director I said, can you dedicate space in the evening so we can start an ESL, English as a Second Language program, for the people who wanted this, a 3-year backlog, and the director was fabulous. He goes, sure, you can do whatever you want, and then I said, I'll just recruit volunteers. On Tuesday, you teach for 2 hours. On Thursday, you're there with Charlie, and you teach for 2 hours, and the students get 4 hours every week. And within a year, they imitated our program at my center throughout Cambridge, and they eliminated the 3-year backlog. So it was, and then I just heard from one of the town councilors in Craigville a couple of weeks ago, there 50% or 60% of the students in Barnstable High School have English as a second language issues, which is remarkable. That's, but it's possible to solve any problem, is my attitude.
Is there anything in particular that you're interested in thinking about bringing to our council on aging, our senior center at this time? That you've maybe looked into, or you think, you heard through the grapevine that might be a need that you think you could bring specifically to our town?
Well, I think it's operating pretty darn well right now, but I think you can always elevate yourself. And so I see a need for at least 2 things with my initial analysis. I've been a systems analyst for 15 or 20 years of my life, so I tend to analyze things a lot, but it's getting more outdoorsy kinds of activities, pickleball courts, the walking path around, you were at that planning event.
Yeah.
Around, having a north-south corridor that, so people, it's agony to get to the place, even without the roads being dug up. So having more structured, in Wellesley, we put a pool table in the basement, and finally guys started showing up for the first time. So that would be one thing I would do. The other one is just to simplify things. People are overwhelmed, especially seniors. They're having a tough time getting their priorities and their perspective. There's a lot of good things happening that nobody knows about, right? Half my opportunities here have hit me in the backside. I just am listening. I'm going, are you kidding? Well, where would I have found that out? And so having a means of simplifying, reducing the clutter. Somebody walks into a place and sits down, and we used to have war rooms in our technology group. In the Army, we have war rooms as well. But where we would have the perspective of things, and you could answer almost any question by pointing to the wall, so people could come back later and see exactly what's going on. And you guys have lots of balls you're juggling, but is there an operations center? Is there a war room? And you can simplify things quite a bit. There's a great couple of bulletin boards, but it needs to be taken to the next level. It's been my perspective. So that's a good question.
I can appreciate that. When I use the town website, I feel that way. It's like the rushing nesting dolls,
Yeah, I was just at the VA website, Veterans Administration Hospital website, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm a technology. So I agree with you.
Councilor Burke?
I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
I have nothing to add.
All right, great. So I see that you're interested in 3 committees. Are you able to serve on more than one?
I now that I've got most of my renovations, I just figure with my aviation background, and I'm new to the area, if I can contribute in some way, I could probably do 2, but
2? Okay.
The other 2 don't have any openings at the moment, but they will come 6/24 when reappointments come on board.
And I used to manage an airfield for Fort Worth, California. I had 240 guys working for me, 81 aircraft, and so I kind of understand the aviation element.
Do you get a discount on your line tickets?
I'm not ready to discuss.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, we'll vote on the Council of Aging now. And the Airport Commission, there's going to be 3 vacancies, is it? The airport, right? 3,
There is going to be 1, 2, 3.
yeah.
How
If
many
you would,
vacancies do we have right now in?
Council of Aging, 3.
Pardon me?
Three.
Three.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind, just shoot Cynthia an email. If you wouldn't mind serving on airport,
Okay,
you've already interviewed.
all right,
So, you know, we can kind of discuss that now anyways.
sure.
And then if the council, I mean, if the commission, if the board thinks it's all right, then we can elevate you right away to airport also.
Okay,
All right?
that sounds good.
All right, great. Cynthia will be in touch and
All right.
let you know.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, thank you for coming in.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Pleasure to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you again.
I'll be in touch, Mr.
All
Coyle.
right, thank you.
You bet.
Have a good day.
You as well, thank
too.
you.
Don't work too late.
Quick discussion for the next one.
The next person probably will not be here till at least 3:45.
Oh, okay.
She works until that time. She was gonna try to leave early.
Oh, okay.
So you have at least probably 30 minutes.
15, 20
Yeah.
minutes. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, clearly that's all.
Yeah.
And he'd be a great addition. When we have people like that come in, if we just vote on them and put them on, especially like council on aging, there's 3 vacancies.
Yeah, right.
You know, what do you guys think about that?
That's fine with me. I think the council on aging is definitely.
Yeah. And even airport,
Let's.
So they're gonna- yeah,
The
they're-
airport too,
they're gonna have 3,
you know, he's,
you know what I mean?
he's got the.
He's got it.
He's got the chops.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, we can't vote on airport yet. We can't do airport, right? Not until it's open.
No, not until the term,
Yeah.
until the reappointments come up.
The 30th, the term ends. So the 24th, we vote on it?
The 30th of.
June.
June, okay.
June. So what I think is we put them right on council of aging now. And I mean, we'll all remember him for sure.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that comes open, we'll have it. I'm sure.
They'll be with you.
That's
right.
We need to make a motion.
Running ahead of schedule anyways.
Yeah, just wait.
Just want to make sure we close the loop.
Yeah, he's impressive.
Yeah, I read his 5.
Yeah.
Character.
When it used to only.
You have a lot of good people that come through here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't seen anybody with my.
No.
I couldn't see them.
And plus, it tells you to be something you want to buy.
Absolutely.
Not going 30 years of construction.
We're ready to vote.
Oh, you ready?
No, nothing. We're ready to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
So we can make a motion.
I'll move to appoint Charles T. Coyle to a vacancy on the Council on Aging.
Second.
Which term? There's the full member position?
The full member position.
Okay,
Full member, there you go. So, so.
Does he have to do that again?
nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We do have somebody
Back into
here.
work with efficiencies.
We do have somebody here if you'd like me to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you folks?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We are brand new people. What's that? I'm crazy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Frazee is here, because Nancy Shoemaker, wrote a letter to your committee asking that he be moved from the alternate position to the full member position,
Mhm.
and that's what he's here for.
I'm sorry to say the circumstances surrounding that are.
I know, and I'm sorry to
Sitting
hear
in the corner,
that your board member, I'm sorry.
Yeah, He served a long time.
She did, she was, yeah.
No
Nan-
pressure.
Nancy.
Oh,
So I'm not sure what.
It's not on.
Yeah. So.
He's under correspondence, correspondence from boards, committees, historical commission, move Robert Frazee from an alternate position to full member. Nancy's letter should be in your packet.
The way that I think about it is whenever the board recommends somebody, I always leave it to deference because we've got to work together,
Oh, that's nice of you.
you know, and,
It was unanimous, by the way, Mr. Chair.
yeah, so I have no questions here.
It was.
Yeah, I have no questions, so, Councilor Bloom?
I brought copies of my June thing, because I know 3 of you might not have seen it, but I didn't know whether that's already gone through the circuit, but.
No, it's
in case
always
you're wondering who the hell is this guy?
Well, that was my first question.
It was, I'm sure, and a little bit about it is there, in no glamorous printing.
Do you have another one?
I do, sure, sorry. Yes, actually,
I just like to keep it in memory.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because like I said, when, you know, when we, myself, when I process things, I always defer to the people who have to work with me.
That's a pretty good philosophy.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't watch every meeting, I'm not at the meetings, so.
You don't watch every meeting?
No, I don't. So when the
But only
people,
they're in reruns.
yeah, when the people you work with, you can become highly recommended, I always defer to that.
Well, I haven't tussled with any of them yet.
Give it time.
Yeah, really.
I wouldn't mind you though telling us a little bit about yourself. I know we can read it, but just because you're opening your speech.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So it's a brave new world, and I'm not used to anything like that. So I was born and raised in Dedham, Massachusetts, but I adopted the Cape by the time I was a rowdy teenager down in Chatham. And I've lived in Barnstable since 1973. Various villages, like 4 or 5 of them. And have always had an interest in historic buildings, historic materials, historic trades, crafts and things of that nature since I was a little kid. And it just seemed a natural thing. So boat building, I've been an advisor to the Maritime Museum here in Annis for about 20 years. It's more than 20 years now, but it's a little, it's cringeworthy to say that. I've been on the board of a number of the villages, various villages, historical societies. I'm a member of most of them. As are a lot of the people on the historical commission, by the way. Nancy Shoemaker probably flies the flag tallest on that one, but she's been that way for years. And in the mid-80s, I moved my family from Osterville to Barnstable Village, and we bought an 1805 Georgian colonial that we bootstrapped into a B&B. It had never been running the business in the 1800s, but not since then. And fell in love with the idea of the process of restoring a building, but also picking up on the context of it. And I became a habitual, long-term server on various committees and boards, including the historical commission at that time. So I served once on a commission back in the 80s to mid-90s. And it's a very different world in so many ways. I don't need to tell any of you about that, probably, except that just the last few months serving as the alternate on the commission, and I got thrown right into the deep water pretty fast because we didn't always have a quorum. The circumstances and challenges that the commission faces now with so many demolition requests coming that are often fairly nuanced situations where you have a building only barely qualifies by its age of 75 years or older. You have to look hard at whether or not it actually is contributing in a significant way to the historical and cultural fabric of the neighborhood, community at large and all. And it's not always obvious. I mean, sometimes it really is, thank God, at least to the commission. It isn't always obvious to the applicants. And sometimes mercifully it is obvious to the applicants too, and they really come in wanting to do the right thing. And I've never been opposed to people making changes to historic buildings as long as they do it with an understanding of the building they're changing. And often, not often, almost always, if that is the case, what they're proposing or what they end up doing with a little coaching and cajoling from our commission at times, which I think is very helpful as part of the process, it puts the newer components into a proper context for the older ones, so that if that comes up to bat again in another 20, 25 years, or even sooner for more changes, it's still in a historic context that it presents itself and it makes sense instead of something really bizarre happening to it. And people don't always love us for what we decide, but we're not there to be loved. We're there to try and, honor our oath, actually, and look out for what the community thinks is valuable in terms of historic cultural assets. But new things live well side alongside old things. I've always felt that. My brother and I ran a business in Austria for almost 43 years, God bless him. And right from the very beginning, it was celebrating a tradition and heritage of American yachting, but antique material right alongside modern Herreshoff, mahogany, or teak and white, and formica and wood together, and modern materials and old materials together. It can be done really well. It doesn't have to be jarring. This is where I come from. I look at buildings as much as I can. I'm glad that COVID is mostly behind us, so we can, come out from behind the curtain a little and actually go out and about and look at the buildings where to evaluate and see them on the book as best we can. It's been an important part of the thing as far as I can see.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be, sometimes you can't replace what your eyes and your.
No, so it's all about context. And you can Google Map the devil out of something, and it is helpful actually, even in addition to going out and looking at the place, but nothing replaces being there in person, getting on your car and just walking the street the house is on or something for 5 minutes. And sometimes you can see that what a person wants to do really isn't that big a deal. Or sometimes you'll say, hey, this is crazy. I think, if it's inappropriate, we should speak up and say so, and whether we control the destiny of it completely or not, I don't know. And some come back again and haunt you. We have one coming up next week, which is interesting, and, not gonna talk out of school about it, except it's been referred to the Cape Cod Commission twice already by this historical commission, and now it's back up to that for demolition. And I'm just on the edge of my seat trying to think about how this is gonna go.
Welcome to Ottawa.
Yeah, no, I know one of you they say that, you're the right one to say it too. Get the most skin in the game for having done this a while, right? But I get that. Good luck to the rest of you. I think you're admired for stepping up and running for election and getting there and doing what you're doing. It's cool.
Councilor Burdick?
Again, well stated. I don't think I have anything to add to that or continue the conversation.
I used to narrate the town bus tour one twice a year for the Citizens Academy, and I enjoyed it. And every once in a while, sitting across from Jim Gould, I would pick up some of what he would, of course, disseminate. He was a very good friend, very close friend. In fact, part of my joining the commission is sort of a memorial for him and a couple of other former commissioners who are very good friends of mine. But on those one or two occasions when he had Meniere's disease, he couldn't make the tour at the last minute. It was up to me to narrate to it. And I was
You must have been nervous.
nervous even telling you about it. Well, I used to introduce Katuah as the Vermont of Barnstable. And I meant it descriptively and honorably, it's kind of, it's a unique
It
village.
really is. Well, we are Mansard ladies. That was one of Jim's favorite things.
Yeah, that's good. I remember.
I know I miss it. I didn't see him much in his last years, but we miss him.
I was lucky. I saw him quite a lot before he moved out to California. Yeah, we don't miss it. Just mentioning his name on the commission, just everybody kind of was, oh yeah.
I bet.
Interesting enough, he wrote the Form B for the property that I just mentioned a minute ago. Full circle happens almost daily in this business.
I just have a quick comment and then a question. First of all, the comment is that I like the way you think because you kind of encapsulated what my question is going to be anyways. And that's merging the historical with the modern.
Oh, it's essential.
And right now in town, whether some people want to admit it to themselves or not, we're going towards the modern while trying to still, preserve our historical character.
Mhm.
So it's good that you have that line of thinking, and plus you have the experience of doing that. That's awesome. But the question that I had for you, and this has nothing to do with your interview process.
Sure.
Because, you're more knowledgeable about that than I am. How do you think is the best way to go about doing that? To merging the historical with the modern?
Visual examples of places where it's been done.
Sure.
Don't do it in the most complicated way, do it in the simplest way possible, which is why I go to visual.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if a streaming video of still shots before and afters, or 20 years ago and now, if we could find some successful locations that present themselves positively after what has been done has been finished, or maybe it's in process, and that's okay too, let's identify that one. It's about education, and that's really kind of what preservation is. People don't buy into the concept. There's almost no point in preserving things because there's no value what you preserve. What's the point there? So being careful in making choices, I think, is important. Choosing your battles, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, to use a cliche. Trying to get more people to accept the change in the context of the historical, probably is a generational thing as much as anything else.
It is.
And I think you're going to find that what I'm hoping for becomes harder and what we're talking about becomes easier. And when I say what I'm hoping for is, and I'm hoping we don't end up throwing babies out with the bathwater right and left. I'm hoping that judgment still prevails as opposed to just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. If it's new, it's better automatically, which is often a way of thinking, and it's not necessarily the case. When I was studying for my preservation degree, one of my professors said something that's always stuck with me, and it was in the history and philosophy of historic preservation conventions, of course, even was my favorite one. And he said, you know, encourage people to design and build things today that somebody 75 years ago, or 75 years from now is going to stand up and fight for. And you're on the right track. You know, whether it's form following function and the function still is unnecessary and it's an obvious good package, or whether it goes more towards the architectural language of its embellishments or its forms and shapes and style. I kind of hope for both. But it's not always possible. Economics kicks in really fast and sometimes throws a wet blanket over some of the best ideas on the planet. Yeah, that's a long answer. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's actually
I'm
perfect.
not trying to dance around it, but it's a very thought-provoking question.
I'll tell you the rationale behind my question, behind my question, is that a lot of people who have moved here in the last 20, 30 years don't realize all the modern buildings we used to have here. We used to have the orange roof Howard Johnsons. We used to have, what was it called? The slide box on 132. What was that place called?
Yeah,
Slide box? something
No.
like
Yeah.
that. Swamp box.
Swamp Box.
Swamp
box, that's right.
You know, the stone lion over here. You know, the Japanese restaurant that's now San Diego's. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that we were,
already.
that we were heading down that direction.
Yeah,
So it's important to be able to preserve, you know, the history, obviously.
we're talking to a guy who thought the Butler Building, Abercrombie moved out of town to go out next to where Howard Johnson's, where Holiday Inn is, was a brand new thing, and I missed the woods on 132.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, put it all in little segments of periods of
Oh, yeah,
time.
the Cadillac Hotel over there on 28, you know, the guy with all the old Cadillacs. But,
Yeah,
you know, especially where we're at as a town right now.
Rennie Langdon,
What's that?
Rennie Langdon.
good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it.
he's also a chef at the restaurant that I work. Rennie sold stuff.
Yeah, and it's hard for, you know, some of us to accept that change has to come.
Of course.
But never at the expense of what we have as far as historical goes. That's the way I think it.
Well, historic districting
Mhm.
approaches that conundrum pretty well in that it's a process, a democratic process by which a district is created if enough people are willing to do that. And it's a mixture of sacrifice and benefit right from the beginning, and it tends to want to get revisited from time to time, which is hard. The north side, the Old Kings Highway Regional Historic District, which is a national registered district, now not just a state district, it's the biggest one in the United States, right from the beginning in terms of geography, has many challenges, some of which are simple. As soon as I say them, think about modern materials being applied to a 300-year-old building. Is it automatically a bad idea? Well, nothing's automatically a bad idea, but it deserves to be questioned and looked at. It's a case of how well is it going to be done? You're going to rip off all the detail in order to wham up the cheapest kind of material you possibly can. Well, some people do want to do that. That's probably not a good idea. But if you want to end up with an impervious surface, it doesn't need, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars of maintenance every 5 years. There are ways to do it. And if it's going to be done well, okay. Where do you put your solar panels on 6A? Senator Sear has a bill he's been working on for the Senate for the last few years, and he hasn't got it right yet. The first one to tell you that, but it's about easing the process of helping solar arrive in historic districts where it's an unpopular idea aesthetically. And, you know, the aesthetic subject sounds very subjective and judgmental, and it can be if it's misapplied, but it's pretty precise if you look at it from the standpoint of what elevation of the building and how does it present itself to the public eye or to the community is involved with what's proposed. And so things that are on the rear L's or facing to the left or right from the main feature of the building are a lot easier to say yes to. than something on the facade would be. Something that stands flat against the roof line and doesn't change the pitch by being aimed at a different angle is easier to, so it's common sense a lot of times, but do we not live in a world of easy push button hysterics where all it takes is a wild, chat or a Facebook post or if TikTok survives it, TikTok post, and who knows what comes after that.
Again, welcome to our world.
No, no, I know. So last thought, I don't take any more time, but I appreciate it, is one of the things I've been talking with Erica Brown about with staff for the planning for Historical Commission and Open Highway. And with Nancy Shoemaker, who's the vice chair of the Historical Commission. I've known her for many, many, many years. She's a great person. Is to see about sitting down with whoever would be appropriate from town staff to have a little Zoom or in-person training session or a re-up session for the Historical Commission at some point as it's constituted now or in the near future, so that we can talk about such things as how and in what context can we best interpret historic building demolition or alteration applications in areas that are controlled by some of the new zoning and overlays and incentive programs. Because I'll be the first person, I don't think people on the commission, including myself, really understand what's going on with that. I've tried to watch, but the more we live in this world, the more complicated it seems to get. And in order to produce a district change or a zoning change that is adequate and looks over all the shoulders it has to look over to be successful, and is very detailed. And the average person can't just read that and not just go up with their eyes rolled in the back of their heads before they get to the bottom of the page. And I feel like somebody can cut to the chase on a number of things that are key elements of that would help us. a lot.
I think a good.
There may be other boards like that too.
I think a good place for you to start is to contact town manager Wells.
Okay, yeah.
Since he, he's the, supervisor of staff,
Sure.
he can probably point you in the right direction. I'm sure they'll be happy to meet with you.
No, I appreciate that.
And if you have
I'd like to
any-
zoom in on that.
Yeah,
Well, so
And what about
the idea is right for a lot of people, honestly.
What about the ad hoc committee that's gonna look at zoning? Are there positions for residents potentially on, I'm just wondering if maybe you wanna, if when the call to action is for residents to be involved on some of those smaller committees, what you're talking about sounds like it might be your information or somebody from historical being involved
That might be smart.
beyond that.
That'd be smart.
That
Yeah,
has
to do
input,
something like
because
that, yeah.
Obviously you have knowledge that we don't have, and we need to have that knowledge.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
That's
that
nice.
might be a good
It's
place.
time limited committee.
Yeah.
Thank
Maybe
you.
about a year.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying
And
that.
I
And
think
maybe
it'd be
it's not
great.
you, but maybe it's somebody else, so.
Yeah, no, I
that's
think
place
it's a nice
where we can
suggestion.
kind of Take what you're saying
Sure.
and kind of integrate it so that I think it sounds like it would be.
It's also very timely. Last evening, I started filling out the online survey for the electrical siting board thing, and
Yeah,
it
that
goes
was
on,
the
it goes on,
EFSB.
it goes on. I got about 2/3 of the way through it. I looked at my watch and I
It's crazy.
just pulled out of it. And it took me so long to get as far as I got, because it's way over my depth. And it's a
Way over the
perfect
average.
example of how the average citizen, or even somebody who pays a little more attention than the average person tends to, which I hope that's me, or has been me, gets utterly swamped with stuff like that. That's kind of where I was going with some of the zoning and incentives. You guys have been great about putting out the publicity, the links, that you can read about it here things. But you go to read about it here and it's pretty deep, pretty fast. It's not to say fast moving water, but it's up to your knees quickly.
that's why I'm a big advocate of getting impartial professionals, experts to talk about pressing issues.
Sure.
Because like you said, you can read the EFSB stuff, we can read stuff online, we can, watch it. And how much of that information we can actually.
Maybe why not envy you guys? Because I know, having just said what I did, you do have to read this stuff. And
Yeah.
Mark and his staff have to, not just read, but other people that,
But, thank you so much for coming in, and Cynthia will let you know. I mean,
No, thank you.
I'm sure you'll be voted in about 10 minutes, but,
I'll get down and sit on the edge of my seat.
Thank you for the opportunity, really. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming.
The fact you said it's not a long-term committee.
A year at the most.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I wasn't watching live, but I did watch that,
Yeah.
council meeting.
I wish more people came to council meetings. I don't know if you guys wish that.
Yeah, we did too, we do too.
See, I'm old fashioned, I'm from the old days, long before the lights and cameras and action kind of stuff. And we would fill up if there was something that people wanted to talk about or hear about.
Oh, yeah, my dad used to bring me to selectmen meetings when I was.
There you go. Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My introduction to town politics was trying to get Jeff Parker elected, selected not once but twice. Both failed. But it was an education in town comings and goings unparalleled. It was, and it stuck.
Well,
These are those days. I'm like,
Yes, I know.
now you're in it.
not politically. Otherwise, yes.
They,
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, you bet, I'll be in touch.
Thank you. You want this open?
Yeah, leave it open.
Okay, cheers.
I mean, again, and we've got thousands of seriously. So, you guys wanna go through dancing?
Sure. And again, the committee is the historic committee.
Yeah,
Historical, yeah.
that's right.
Historic.
Yeah, so somebody wanna nominate him?
I make a motion to nominate Bob Frazee for position on the historical committee.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. We have somebody waiting if you want.
Yeah. No,
Good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
always interesting now, we're talking about working with the roads
Yeah. Yeah.
and how they
Yeah.
manage some, deal with some water.
Gives them, yeah.
Cause that's.
Very important.
I don't know, those were there when I sat down.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
This is Maureen Hughes.
Maureen.
Hi,
Hi.
Hello, Maureen.
how are you?
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Charlie.
How are you?
Separate, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for volunteering to help the town. I'd like to start off, asking about consensus. As you know, we have some hot button issues. in town. It's important for people, especially who represent it, to understand the consensus. So could you tell us a time in your professional life when you had to come to consensus or work with consensus?
Well, I'm here because I am a senior, obviously,
Sure.
and I have really been a professional volunteer, if you will, all my life. So I have had the opportunity and responsibility to chair committees
Mhm.
and, work through
Yeah.
listening,
Mhm.
because I think listening is probably one of the most important things you need. There's always two sides to a story.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think I don't believe that would be a problem.
Great. Great. Council Bloom?
I really don't have any questions to ask, but I just a comment to make, it's gonna be hard for me not to vote for a Boston College graduate.
Council Jefferson?
So Maureen, tell us a little bit about your background and your history. I mean, I obviously read your resume, but just give us like the elevator speech about.
Yeah. It really says it in a nutshell. I really spent probably 3 years of my life teaching medical physical medicine. And then I was married and we started having children. And we moved, I think I've lived in 57 states and had 17 houses. My husband moved a lot.
Well.
And pretty much jumped into every community that we lived in, which was fun to me. So it gave me an opportunity to do my work, if you will. And most of my work has been concentrated with either homelessness or addiction services. And I have continued that in almost every community that I've lived in. And currently, I serve through my church. I have an opportunity to get into Brookdale senior residents and bring communion to those residents. So I see and talk to them and in amongst them every week and have a good sense of what they seem to need. And they're in many ways the fortunate ones because they can afford to be there. There's a concern of mine for so many of the senior citizens who don't have that opportunity. And I think, where am I going here? I think the other thing is that I serve on the homeless, not hopeless, board. And I'm seeing years ago, the population used to be maybe in the high 20s, early 40s. And we now have women and men who are in their 50s, 60s, and two in the 70s. So that's kind of a scary situation. And I think when you consider the case with more and more people moving here and choosing to retire earlier, and we all know that good or bad, we're living longer. So we're going to need more services to these people.
And do you currently participate in any of the programming or activities at the Council on Aging?
You know, I don't. And the interesting thing about that is that we've had a house here for about 35 years as a summer place. And then after my husband passed away, I've been for 11 years now, full time. And it's only been recently that I've been aware of the senior center. And I think, I don't know whether it's just maybe me, but it seems to me it's a missed opportunity. It's a fabulous resource. And I've been hearing about it from some of my friends who play bridge there and that kind of thing. But the thing that really drove me was the forum that the planning department had about that property adjacent to the senior center and what was going to happen and how it would be developed. And I think it was as a result of that, and having spent this time the last year and a half with folks at Brookdale and realizing that that's a choice piece of property and so much more could be perhaps done at the senior center. Because I think we all know that, you know, there are going to be issues of transportation and stimulation and just emotional needs for, you know, there's so much written now about loneliness with older people. And I mean, I think it's a lot of potential.
Is there anything in particular you, after, because I was at that presentation as well, that you struck you as that was a great idea, or you had some
It did
vision?
strike me as a great idea. I just wasn't at all clear what the next steps were, what was the next step.
Well, I think they're just feeling out the situation and taking ideas, but I didn't know if you had any spark that you said that would be a great thing to put on that piece of property, or.
Well, I do think that a combination of some sort of supported mini housing. I mean, you're not looking for grandiose ideas, but I think coupling that with what you already got on that property and then reserving some of it for recreational use would benefit the whole community, but certainly those people that were living there, and possibly the groups across the street that you'd already got there.
Yeah, you know, do any of the people from Brookdale, do you know if they go over to the senior center? Do you know?
You know, I don't know that,
Yeah,
but they certainly, I mean, that's not really assisted living. That's kind of independent living.
yeah.
And they've just established a memory care unit.
Okay.
So I mean, they're pretty mobile. I've seen some of the women in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You know, but, and then there are the assisted living units, but I mean, I think, again, the cost of those private facilities are really out of range for most everybody. And,
Councilor Burdick?
Again, I've heard it all, everything I need. I think I couldn't add anything to any of my questions. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a couple quick comments. I'm really giving education today because sometimes it takes somebody to point out the obvious because we all don't see it. The homeless situation with seniors is real. Because a lot of times when we talk about these issues, we think about young adults or teenagers.
Yeah.
And also the addiction problem with seniors
Well, they go hand in hand.
is real. And again, when we think about addiction, we think about, twenties, late teens. So I think those are very germane issues. I think that's something you can speak to, especially with your experience.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming in. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank
you, Maureen.
Cynthia will be in touch.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. to
Thanks
meet you.
again.
Maureen,
Bye-bye.
have a good rest of your day.
See you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, I'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Keep it quiet, I'm making him speak.
I have to say what we like.
Well, we need somebody to.
I nominate Maureen Hughes to the committee, the council on aging.
The second part.
Alternate or associate?
Wait, do we want to make her a?
You already made Mr.
Member.
Coyle.
Mr. Coyle is the member. We already made.
Oh,
him a member,
sorry,
So
sorry.
alternate or associate?
Which one would get her to be a member quicker?
Alternate.
Either one,
Either one?
either one.
Okay.
Alternate is nobody, they don't have quorum, she can vote.
Okay, then we.
Alternate.
Yeah, alternate?
Yeah, okay. Good. I'll do this again. I nominate Maureen Hughes to the Council on Aging as an alternate member with a term that goes to June 30th, 2026.
Second part.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And we're just waiting for our other ones. I did email them and call them and say you were running ahead, so if they wanted to come down, they could. Instead of their scheduled.
Should we take a little?
Do we,
Yeah.
want to, or do we want to go with any other business, or we can't do that until then?
Sure, you
Oh,
can.
we can go over any business.
You can take anything you want out.
Or do we need to approve minutes or any of that stuff?
Yep,
Here you go.
Yeah, we got three because you weren't here.
just the March 1st ones that I sent.
Okay.
They're the only ones.
Yeah, I read the March 1st meetings and
I do too.
I thought that they were great and you put so much information into them. I really.
I have a bad habit of doing that.
Yeah.
I ad-lib my minutes for all my meetings.
Do we have to put a word limit on you?
So somebody has to make a motion.
So moved. First of all, how about I'll move to accept the meeting minutes, March 1st, 2024 as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, I'll get those on the website.
When do you guys want to have our next meeting? Because we have to vote on ZBA and all the other stuff we've been,
Yeah.
we gotta get these people passed through because it's.
Today's 16 or 15? 16?
Today's the 15th.
Why did I think it was the 16th all day? Obviously it's 15. So
I'm good with whatever Friday, you working folks can.
Friday afternoons are fine with me. Still, I'm fine with that.
Well, I won't be here next Friday. Doesn't mean we can't have the meeting because Chris will be back and we'll have
Right.
one. So we can have a meeting next Friday, but I won't be here.
I
It's next
suggest
Friday.
you,
It's the next.
I suggest you wait a Friday because I need 48 hours to post the meeting and I have to reach out to people to get them
Okay.
interviewed, unless you don't want interviews on that one and you're just doing appointments.
Well, next is council meeting week next week too, right?
Yes.
Maybe do it the next Friday.
Yeah, the following Friday is Good Friday, and I don't know if that makes a difference to anybody, but,
I won't be at church, but I'm aware of. But you guys,
I will be at church.
you will? Oh, right.
Not at 3 in the afternoon. That's fine.
What do you guys
29 is fine with me. Which is Good Friday.
March 29th?
We can do another day, not Friday, too.
No, any day is fine with me. I'm open.
We
for
can do
now.
that. We can
My
do-
whole thing changes later on, and I'll expect you all to work around me.
Oh,
But now I am the master of my own schedule.
Let's do the Friday,
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Good
29th, the
Okay.
3.
So March 29th.
No, can we do 3:30?
3:30, sure.
Only because I have patience and it's like, I'm rushing to get here.
You can do it later than 3:30 if you want.
No, 3:30 is good.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
just-
Very fine.
Like I have a bunch of, it's like running out the door, making sure I was closing everything I'm bringing. with
Sorry, I
me.
can't put that something on, you're gonna have to wait till I get back.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we need to do for our next meeting? We need to vote on ZBA.
ZBA and, what's something, no,
You have had
Energy and
energy and infrastructure.
zoning board of appeals, infrastructure and energy.
There's something else.
See, well, we've only had
CFAC.
we've only had one interview, CFAC, right?
Yes, and you recommended Thomas Keane.
Yeah, he's already.
He's on the next agenda as a first read.
Yeah,
And it's up to this committee or the chair if you want to suspend the rules to get them on there before budget time.
yes,
Because this would only be a first read on the 21st, and you'd have to wait till the April meeting to actually physically appoint him. But you
Yes.
can suspend your rules at the council dais the night of the meeting
okay,
and vote him in that night.
okay, and he's on for next Thursday, correct?
Yes, he's on for
Alright,
the
so-
21st.
I'll be in San Diego, because my grandmother's sick, so I gotta go back to San Diego.
Sorry to hear that.
So I'm going to try to zoom in. If I can't, somebody has to make an,
Motion to suspend the rules.
to suspend the rules.
I will. No, we don't.
Yeah, because we need him on the budget season,
Okay,
and he was sharp, that guy.
yes, very.
And the people for the ZBA that were, I'm sure I have it written.
No, there you go. This will, these are the two that we met on February 16th and then March 1st. And those were the people.
Oh,
So if you choose not to have somebody interviewed on the 29th and just do appointments, you can do that, or I can call in some more people. We do have some applications pending.
What do we have?
Let's see. We have Mr. Schwab has put in an application for the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Appeals. We have Amanda Converse, who also put in an application for the same committee, the Appeals Committee. We have, let's see, A.P. Graves for the Human Services Committee, Suzanne Welsh for Human Services, Kevin Matthews, Human Services, and Wendy Crocker, Human Services. And those are the ones to date. There has not been any new applications for the ZBA or the infrastructure or energy, because you put the cutoff as today, and I have not received any new ones.
so we have a couple more people than for ZBA is what you're saying.
Not to
I'm
be
sorry.
interviewed, no.
No,
All right, who was it? It was Schwab and who was the other person?
It was Eric Schwab put in. the
Oh,
appeals.
Gil, sorry, Amanda Cox. Okay.
Yeah.
now, isn't there a mileage?
Yes, there is, and that's what I have to look up. I have Karen, the town attorney, looking at that.
Okay,
Because if you have to be within the district for the appeals.
yes,
So if you're not in that
I
district,
thought
you
also
can't.
owning a business in the district.
It also.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
On a business of being in the,
Yeah.
I think it's a mile radius,
Yep.
Does anyone need anything?
gin and tonic.
Right back.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the other interview.
Anybody want a seltzer or anything?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Is that good?
No, thank you, Charlie. So we're waiting for,
We're waiting for either Mr. French to come. I emailed everybody as well as the youth commission. And told them that you guys were running ahead of time, and if they wanted to come down, that they certainly could.
what were their times? So Conrad Watson was.
He was at 4:15, Richard French was at 4:30. Nate was, wait, what's that date? Nate was at 4:45 and Noah was at 5. Along with Christine Beer was at 5.
Well, maybe since we're taking a brief recess, I'm gonna go, why not? All right, so I'll.
There's nobody out there, right? Is anybody out there?
No. I saw you were on Zoom last week. Was everything okay? Not that you did that, but hold your first.
Was I on?
For the meeting. You were like, you weren't here for the meeting on the first.
Oh, the 29th.
Yeah.
Yes, no, the 29th, or that meeting, I was, in March 1st, I mean, I was in, Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
My granddaughter, had a dance cheer
Oh, that's
competition.
right. How was
Oh, cool.
They came in second. And they got the sportsmanship, award, which in the state of Florida is only given to one team out of the 45 that were there.
nice?
And they give a donation to the childhood cancer research in Cape Cod's name down in Florida for that. So they were really proud of that. Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm not the committee, but this is part of it, and they'll be
Okay.
in pretty soon. Sorry, I forgot your first name.
Conrad.
Conrad Watson.
Yeah.
Charlie Bloom.
Nice to meet you. It's awesome.
Kristen,
Hey,
Hi,
how are you, Jeff?
Good, how are you?
Kristen?
Kristen,
Oh,
thank you.
We're just waiting for Councilor Burdick to get back and then we'll one way through. How's things going, all right?
good.
Good. How's business?
Pretty good. Yeah, the cafe. Closed over a few months. It was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time of year. You find it slower this year than previous?
Well, we just opened it last summer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What cafe is that?
Mariner, done East End.
The old Sunrise.
Yes,
Sunrise.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside, yeah.
Yeah. Hi,
Hi, sorry, I was in the bathroom. Seth Burdick, nice to meet you.
Conrad.
Just gotta wear this.
Are you working in Matthew? Where are you working?
I'm getting there.
Are you paying rent while you're doing this?
No. No, it's all. Yeah, I've got a pretty decent deal. So until we open, let's just bring it on that. That's just.
How much work do you have?
That's up for debate. No, but everything that's like, gotta be done is done.
You know what's ironic about that?
Well,
Is that I was talking to a guy who built quite a bit of those streets in National Common.
yeah,
And he told me if they didn't have the residences above, nothing will last.
yeah, maybe.
He said they get a good walking file locally and close.
Yes.
He said, but in the winter months,
Oh, yeah.
it's the residents.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
How
that live
many
there.
units do they have over there? I never even really.
I think there's like 100, just about, there's 2 phases that are already permitted for another couple hundred in apartments. So they'll go off towards where church is, in Joe's Fishing Road, like back that way. So they got approved though, from the Cape Cod Commission and everything, I think it's all, they're like fighting, it's hard to say.
Are the residences on the other side of the road?
They're all up above, all the stores.
And you know, on the other side of 151, no, there's 151.
Or 28 or 151, it's right there in the middle, but.
Yeah, but on the other side of 151, there's.
That's all, that's town, that's housing authority, I think, in that. On 151, across from the high school.
Yeah.
That's all Mashpee Housing Authority over there.
There's a, like the old assisted living, is it, on the corner? And then there's National Village Apartments on the right.
Yeah.
And then the Southport is on the left,
And then there's,
which is private.
then there's like Wind Chime, there's a bunch of housing over there. That Wind Chime place is pretty big. And then, of course, you go a few miles down Great Neck and then there's all the houses That's all, New Seabury and Providence. A lot of people live over there. And in Mashpee, they have a whole different philosophy they have up to lately about development. Like in New Seabury, they have one. They're building those townhouses, like, well, I think they're done with them now, but there's at least 100 of those that are built like right on top of one another.
Actually, we could probably decide anything when, well, oh, no, she's taking next.
I guess. First we were ahead and now we're behind.
Actually, used to have a 2 o'clock closing time. A long time ago, I used to go to the Bobby Burns there.
Oh, yeah, they celebrated
Only
their
Bobby Burns
50th
and
year.
and stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 years.
Yeah.
It's been weird. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Time flies. I wasn't around. So. Did you say you own the Sunnyside restaurant?
I own the building.
Oh, the building.
Yeah, we closed that and put in a cafe, like just a coffee shop.
Oh, just recently? Oh, the one, that's where it's now the Marin.
Right, yeah.
I know, I went to eat at the Sunnyside, like, right before it closed.
Yeah,
I was like, I wonder how long this place is gonna stay. I did, I guess I was the last one.
Surprised the last one was long.
Oh my God, that was my favorite place.
All right, let's get rolling. Well, thank you for coming in. Mr. Watson, appreciate it, appreciate you volunteering your time for the town. Question I always ask to start is about consensus. As you know, we have a lot of divisive issues going on in town right now, a couple.
yeah.
And I think it's important to get consensus, especially among people who represent the town. So could you tell us a time in your professional life where you had to get consensus?
I've never been on any boards or anything like that, but I've been in business for 45 years.
Mhm.
And very successful. And, you know, from the start, I'm kind of old school, like these big developers come and they want these fancy contracts and can we just shake hands? Doesn't work that way anymore, but being in business, you want to get along with everyone. Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Watson, what would you like to bring to the table, to the committee?
Well,
Commission there?
you know, I've been coming to the Cape since the year I was born in 1950. And the only supermarket on the Cape was the A&P right here on Main Street. And I've always had an attachment to Main Street on Hyannis, although we had a summer place in South Yarmouth, and then my father was principal at Bourne High School. I competed in athletics on the Cape, but I always loved Main Street. And when the mall came in and then the businesses started to disappear, it was disappointing. So I see a lot of rejuvenation going on and I like it. That's what I like most about it.
So
I do a lot of rehabs of real estate, mostly commercial, industrial. And so I have a lot of experience in bringing things back and seeing trends. And I see a trend right now that finance is really coming back.
So as far as, you know, what you would bring to the table at the commission, what would you, yeah, what's, you know, your observations of renewal and stuff? How does that translate into, you know, what you would do with the commission?
I know a lot about buildings, I know a lot about architecture, and I know a lot about design. And I like the old Cape design type buildings, which I think, you know, there is also, you know, that aspects of architecture where they meld in modern type things and combine the two.
Thank you.
Councilor Chuckles?
What do you think about some of the projects coming forward down in that area and around, conversations that people are having related to, street flows, parking restrictions, not having enough parking, you know, steamship authority, traffic, and just in general, in this area, what do you see are some of the pressing issues in that area? And if you had to offer a suggestion, what do you think would be a off the top suggestion for that area?
That's a big question.
I know, sorry.
Uh, With the East End, it's been so run down. I don't want to say it. Anything is good. But to get activity going down there and, I know parking's an issue, but, I followed closely, Jeff Speck's theory on walkability of the city and, there is a lot of parking out behind here. There isn't much down there. We have a lot with like 20 spaces for where we are, but it is a problem, the parking. But there's a lot going on. I think the East End is really coming back. Does that answer the whole question?
Yeah, and as far as walkability, what do you think would make Main Street, what do you think the components are missing in the Main Street area that makes Main Street that more walkable? Because I'm having trouble as a person who can't walk to where I work and where I shop and where I go to the doctor and those kind of things. It's not possible where I live.
Right.
People keep saying this area is so potentially walkable. I don't see how those two things really jive, because I feel like there's a handful of services that are missing in this area. And I'm just wondering if you thought if we brought these services A, B, and C in, would it translate to making these areas more walkable? Or do you think as it is, we can just pump some buildings down and it's walkable already?
I think we're just talking about Mashpee and how the apartments above the stores.
Right.
Keep Mashpee Commons alive in the winter. I think that this idea of having apartments above the buildings, and it's such a long street, that I think that it will thrive. I know it would be great if there was a supermarket right in the middle of Main Street. That people could walk to instead of driving to the mall or Whole Foods or any.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not quite walkable.
No,
Despite what you say,
no.
it's not walkable,
No.
yeah.
That's the largest concern right now. I think everyone on the council.
I'll ask the question that Kristen traditionally asks, but didn't ask this time, which is, you did mention a little bit about yourself, but
Right.
just a little bit about your career, your history on the Cape, which you did mention already some, but like maybe projects you worked on, things you're proud of in terms of your development career, anything like that.
Okay, well, I went to Bourne High School. I was on the track team. My father was principal. We've renovated, my wife is also involved, some older buildings on the Cape. Most of the stuff I've done is up around Boston. I probably saved 1 million trees. Instead of tearing buildings down, I've rehabbed them. It kind of irks me how they'll, like in Osterville, they tore down the library and they built the same thing. It seemed like a total waste. Although it's nice now, I don't know why they had to tear the building down. I like to see renewal of existing buildings.
Are there any buildings in particular that you see that the town or developers are potentially missing an opportunity in rehabbing that are kind of like low hanging fruit for us that would benefit our community?
I'm used to dealing with larger buildings. I own Warehouse Road, all those buildings there, and I put about $3 million into rehabbing all those buildings. Paved the streets, paved the buildings, and it's thriving now. Half of them were empty before, and one of the buildings had no roof. But it fortunately had a steel frame, so we were able to rehab it. We did over at 6A, we did Finney's Barn over.
Over 680.
Finney's barn, it was
Finney.
Captain Finney's,
Sure.
carriage house next door, we restored that. I restored a half house over in Marston's Mills. Restoring 278, 282 Main Street right now. As far as the bank building, I mean, the CTE Bank is a terrible piece of architecture. You know, and anything that could go in there would be better. Preferably the apartments. Yeah.
The Main Street project you mentioned, is that the Hyannis Inn project or?
No,
is-
it's the sunny side, the one I'm doing now, or,
Yeah, the 278 one that you mentioned.
that's right on the corner, it's, right on the corner of Main and Center. And then the sunny side beside it,
I'm sorry, not the bank. Two something Main Street, it was a double address,
278
yeah,
and 282.
and 282, yeah, oh,
Yeah.
that's,
That's right across from the
okay,
bank,
okay.
yeah.
How much impact do you think putting apartments, focus stores on Main Street will have on Main Street? Because my contention is this. My contention is Main Street is never gonna come back to what it was in the 70s and 80s unless we actually put feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Because of what you mentioned, because of shopping,
Right,
because of online shopping,
right,
so on and so forth. We could stick 20 stores there and they're gonna be vacant. Because unless you have people actually there. And there's a lot of historic towns like ours who have done just that and has brought
Right.
back their Main Street.
right.
So in your opinion, being a property owner on Main Street, being somebody who rehabs property, not tears it down, how important do you think it is to put a, livable space on Main Street?
I think it's crucial. Like you say, if it doesn't happen. You've got all those new stores going in a Kmart center and the mall's kind of turning into an entertainment center. If, you put people on, living here on Main Street, it'll be great for Main Street.
Okay.
And the businesses.
We just need a grocery store.
Yeah.
Well, the person that owns the Bread and Roses is in the process of putting in a grocery store there where the church, the Brazilian church is now.
Mhm.
They're moving and he's putting in a grocery store in there. It's not gonna be a huge one, but it'll be a nice, he wants to have a farmer's market and then groceries and
Great idea.
things, yeah.
Yeah, I just think if we expect people to be able to live and walk in an area, we want them to be healthy and well. We need
Right,
to give them something more than restaurant food all the time, because honestly, that's as good as home cooking is, it's not sustainable to be eating out at $25 every night to get a hamburger, we need to
yeah,
have people leave their apartment, go to the store, pick up the goods and sit at the table with each other
yeah,
and be a community. And if there's not a place to do that, it means people have to get in their cars, and if they're not doing that and they're paying Grubhub, and I mean, it's putting people further in the hole,
Yeah.
We used to be able to do that as a society, and we seem to have moved away from that, and,
yeah,
I mean, like you said, there used to be a grocery store on that street. but,
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it makes it hard to live in a place when you can't access food at a price that you can afford, for that matter,
I'm excited about that grocery store that you just mentioned.
yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
You're absolutely right.
I'll go there myself.
Do you live in?
I live right in Hyannis. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any more questions?
I'm good.
All right, great. Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Cynthia will be in touch.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming in,
Yeah,
Mr. Watson.
good weekend.
You as well.
Thanks again.
Okay.
So we have 1, 2. There's 3 spots that are open. Cynthia, would he fall under the real estate license?
Yes, because he has one.
What do you guys think?
we have other people that have applied for this.
How many?
This is the only one for this. committee. The other two is the appeals.
Yeah.
There's, that's a subcommittee of this one. When somebody doesn't like the answer they get
Yeah.
from this committee, they can appeal it.
Are we closed on this one, on the Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission? Have we closed the,
The interview process, no, but my rationale is he has the real estate thing.
Not too many people have applied that fall into that category with the license.
That's what I'm thinking. And also, I think he kind of looks for what we're looking for. He's not a tear down, he's a rehabber. He's cognizant of the historical things that may.
I'd like to see who else comes. Before we vote.
Okay, but we just, when we do this, you have to keep in mind. We haven't done anything on council yet.
Yeah.
And the heavy lifting is coming next month.
Mm.
So be prepared for the late nights, and we have to start filling these committees. We can't continuously wait a month, 2 months before we start filling these, it'd be better for these committees.
How are we on this committee as far as how many members are on the committee and how, and
The Hyannis Main Street Historic, there is currently, well, the two vacancies that are on here. But they have, full membership with the exception of these two alternates, so. If they, if they basically,
so it's not like they're having quorum issues?
no. No, I have not heard that.
What's the closing date for this one,
There's a.
this posting? You want to establish a closing date and then wait until that, until, say, make it, it's been open for how long and posted for how long? This.
It's been on our website all year.
Right, so do we say close it next week and vote at the next meeting?
I mean, have we,
That's-
what have been the responses on,
He's the only one. The
For
other
this
two
whole
were
time
put in
period?
for the appeals.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm fine voting on it now, but we don't.
I mean, it's been up for a year and nobody's applied. He's the only one.
I still like to see what happens. Let's close it next week.
Okay.
We should just announce it in places, Facebook.
Well, we should have maybe 2 weeks at least do it so we can announce it at the next council.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, you can announce it on the 21st, whatever date you want to close it by the end of the month, or
Yeah.
that way you can
we'll-
vote on it on the 29th.
Yeah,
So you leave it from the 21st to the 29th open before your vote.
because you said it's been up for a year, you said, right?
Yes, it's been on the site for a year.
Okay.
All of these have any vacancies.
Yeah. Now, like, if we have like ZBA, multiple people, that's one thing.
Yeah.
When we have one person applying for one position in a year's time.
I'm
Right.
kind of surprised by that, to be honest, because I mean, it's such a contentious area. And there's so much development,
Well,
like concerns, that you would think that there'd be more people.
I just think he meets a niche, where he has a real estate license part of it and all that stuff. So maybe there's not a lot of people who have time to do it.
Might be.
All right.
All right, let me get Mr. French. Mr. French, come on in.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Mr. French, how you doing?
Hello, sir.
You must be Chris's father?
Huh?
You relate to Chris? Your father? Yeah, he looks like you. Jeff Mendes, nice to meet you. Chris was graduated in '87, year behind me. How are you?
Charlie.
Nice to meet you. As soon as she said the name and I saw you, I was like, oh yeah, that's Chris's father. Yeah.
You're a youngin.
So, do I walk out now?
Yeah.
We're not gonna talk about the keg times and stuff.
No.
Bye.
Yeah, he's a fire inspector down at the city of Oakland Park.
That's ironic.
Really? Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Oh, we used to have fun. We used to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I think I'm aware of that.
Oh, I'm sure you chased him. You chased him as much as my father used to chase me, so. So we have 3 at-large vacancies?
No, there's only one on the Sandy Neck board. Prior counselor Ann Kennedy,
Yeah,
left,
okay.
and that left the vacancy that's currently open, so there's only one. The member at large.
Yeah.
position.
Welcome, Mr. French, and thank you for,
Thank you.
donating your time.
I love it.
That's a good thing.
I do.
Just so that you committee members know, he has been a long time member of the Sandy Neck Board and went on a was not reappointed when his term was up in 20, I believe it was, right? And now he's applied 4 other times
Mhm.
and come before the last appointments committee.
Mhm.
And now he's again.
Welcome back. So as, I always have, the first question I always ask, it's about consensus. As you know, right now in town, we have some hot button issues going on.
Oh, yeah.
And so I like to ask about consensus. Are you okay with consensus? And if so, can you give us an example out of your professional life where you had to come to a consensus on an issue where you may not happen to agree with somebody on something in particular? Or during your time on the board?
Yeah, I believe that, you know, you take everybody's, input, you put it for a vote and, you know, the majority wins. I mean, it's that simple. You didn't ask, you know, each person what they think, you know, what their position would be. And go from there, say, all those in favor?
No.
Okay, all those opposed? That's kind of like how I like to run it, you know?
Yeah.
The majority rules.
Okay.
If you will.
What does Sandy Neck mean to you? I mean, you know,
Everything.
yeah,
I've been there since I've been a kid,
yeah.
all right? I grew up, you know, in Cumberland. And, you know, we used to go out there. My first girlfriend was out there, and I'd go out in the boat from Bunny Howard's, at the end of, Beal Way, and over there, and go out and meet her when I was younger. But I've always loved it. You know, my mom and dad loved it. My mom and dad actually had a place over there. Norman Hayes now, but maybe somebody else, but used to have that. And so, yeah.
Still got sticker number 1,
I got 2.
number 2, that's right, they don't give number 1 anymore.
Number 2. But, yeah, so, I mean, I've been out there, my kids were lost out there. And, you know, Norman Hayes and Howard Nickerson found them. I told them, you follow the footsteps where you were and take them back. Well, unbeknownst to me, it's like everybody else did the same thing. And they were lost. They got found.
Were you out there with them?
Let's just say you got them back and was that the goal was to get rid of them?
Talk about scary though.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Yeah,
Wide open space
never-
out back.
I'll never forget, it was, Doug Kelvin, who actually was one of them that found them. We had a camp on the inside trail, and they walked across because they wanted to go exploring. Well, they got found in a camper. Chris ended up, you know, chatting with the people, because that's kind of like how he was. Sarah was up on the dune, because she was told never to talk to strangers.
Oh, Jesus.
That's,
Yeah, no, I've been out saying that with Chris plenty of times. Councilor Ferguson?
In the ways, I'm not a Sandy Neck person. I've been once or twice, and I know it exists. It's a beautiful place. If I didn't own a boat, I'd probably own a camper and go out there. But in the ways that Sandy Neck has changed in your experience, if you could give me one positive thing about how things have changed in this modern world that we live in, and one thing that you think is a challenge for moving into this modern world. I mean, we talked a lot about blending the old with the new.
sure.
So I'm just wondering how you see the old with the new, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who want it this way and maybe some people who want it this way. So tell me a little bit about that kind of tug of war.
When I was growing up, I mean, we used to have VWs and they would be basically cut off and they would be the beach buggies if you would see. And they'd go do nothing. And, you know, that's when we didn't know about the fragile area and how quickly it changes, all right? And so today, you know, we can't allow that only because it is detrimental to that precious resource and the environment. So therefore, we now have folks that go out there and they have, you know, campers, which never before, I mean, when I was growing up, a camper out there, oh, yeah, everybody went out in an international harvester or a Jeep or a dune buggy. And it's a good thing that, you know, today they can't do that. The other aspect that basically, in my view, has changed is, we have a cottage colony out there. And the cottage colony, for years, never, if you will, had protection from fires or anything else like that. Today, with West Barnstable fire, being able to take in, Barnstable fire takes and puts a tanker out there, as well as a ladder, excuse me, as well as a ladder to basically help the response should something happen, all right? And is that a good thing? Yeah. When Lockheed Crocker's camp caught on fire and Patrick Lancaster put it out, it was caused by a lightning strike. Well, we're lucky that the fire department had a boat and we trained, because I used to be a fireman, we used to train on basically taking care of that and protecting those, because obviously the worst thing you have is conflagration out there once the wind got going. That's one. Today, there used to be a hardwired system from Marbell, from Indian Trail to the cottage colony, and that's how you used to take and call if there was a problem. Well, today, you know, that cable is pretty much defunct, all right? And that came up right by the Crockers and Bassett's up in the backside. And today, everybody's got a cell phone. When we first were on the board, the fire department basically said, wait, you know, there's no numbers out there, all right? When you call 911, they go, Sandy Neck, where is Sandy Neck? So we instituted a numbering system. So everything out there now is numbered, so that if you go and say, I'm at 376 Sandy Neck, you can pop it up on the GPS for the public service phones. That's how things have changed. How's it gonna change in the future? I don't know. But I do know that I wanna be part of it for as long as I can. I'm getting up there in age, but, you know, I've got a lot of institutional knowledge that maybe will help somebody else.
That's obvious.
What, that I got
Your knowledge.
institutional knowledge? Well, it's all, yeah. I'm sorry.
This isn't, you know, relay levity on this. Counselor Burke?
Again, I think you guys have covered it. I don't think that I have any questions to ask that would add anything.
Can I ask a couple more questions?
Have it.
Only because I haven't watched the Sandy Neck board meeting yet, because I've been watching a lot of other meetings, so I'd have to check one out. What kinds of things does the Sandy Neck board deal with? Like, if you had to give me the 2 or 3 minute elevator speech about what this board does, because you obviously were part of it, so you know.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, if you had to give the dummy around the history.
It used to be, yeah. Nina, when she took over, I mean, she really brought an awful lot to the whole environmental protection, if you will, out there. So we would end up
talking in our meetings about what can we do to take and, make it safer for more family friendly. It was like the Wild West a lot when you, on Labor Day, or not Labor Day, 4th of July, or Memorial Day. It was like the 4th of July. I mean, it was the Wild West. So we ended up talking about, we need to be able to put some curbs on it, and so that came with, they would have fires. You can't have fires anymore. They were burning pallets. Well, the one thing with a pallet is it leaves nails. And, okay, so we said, yeah, no, can't do that because little kids are out there. The other thing, dogs, all right? When you're out there as a family, you don't want to have your kid come back with something brown on his foot that stinks. And that's why we end up putting everything, you have to take and have your dog on a leash and you clean up after your dog. We had those things put in place. Glass, it was like the same thing. You can't have a glass container out there because somebody is gonna break a bottle. And instead of doing the proper thing, they're gonna take and bury it. Well, Sandy Neck is for kids and families, all right? And therefore you wanna be able to say, I don't want my kid stepping in something that smells or it's gonna cut their foot. So those things have been implemented to the betterment. But they tried to make it, we tried to make it when we're on the board, a family-friendly place. And that's, I think, what's occurred. Used to be that there used to be no problems out there when there was nobody on the beach. When there's people on the beach and everybody crowded together and there were a couple of yahoos, it had to be, you had to have a police officer out there. It's like, okay, yeah, because we don't want families to take and have to interact with yahoos that get out of sorts, So that's why the police are out there.
Yeah.
Which is also a good thing, to keep it safe and family
So
friendly.
the board is really working with Natural Resources Department to make rules or put rules in place or
Yep.
those kinds of things.
One of the things, see this here, you can buy these at the, but there was never any merchandise. You ought to take and be able to take and buy something from this place. And so they have to do, we're gonna have a clothing line. So if anyone wants something that's nice, you go up there to the gatehouse. And you get all kinds of great stuff. That's cool. They even put it out, so they have a little gator. They go out on the beach and if people wanted a nice picture or whatever. Those are some of the things that I think, we talked about. There's an elephant in the room. And it's how many- when you have some of these northwest winds and heavy storms and high course tides. But that's the next job.
And there's only, Mother Nature can't be stopped.
What is that? So what they're trying to do, and I think there was a meeting last night that I could not attend because I was on the committee for having a sea chanty Charlotte Fest at the Unitarian Church, but they had a 90% design for
Oh, yeah,
the
I saw that.
mediation.
Mhm.
So, I was unfortunate I wasn't able to get there, but you can see it online, so they tell me. So I hope to be part of that, going forward.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. French.
Thank you.
Looking at you, just reminding me of school.
Yeah,
Tell Chris just that.
I will.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Cynthia will be in touch. You know how. it works. Okay. All right, thanks again.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
No. It was, no, it was, at the time, Yeah, no, he's a great guy.
How many applications do we have on Sandy Neck?
Just this one.
Just this?
Yeah, this one's been open since Ann was on the council. I mean, when she left the council, she was
Since who was?
Ann Kennedy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been vacant. Nobody's put in for it because it's, he just, you know, he has a passion for Sandy Neck, always has, always, probably
Yeah.
always will. But yeah, this is another one that's been on our webpage for probably, well, since Ann Kennedy, at least a year, at least, yeah.
What do you guys wanna do? Do you wanna have a closing date, or do you wanna vote now? It's been on for over a year.
I think the guy's an old Cape Codder who knows what he's talking about when it comes to Sandy Neck. I'd like that. I'd like to vote him now.
Council Jefferson?
I did hear some information that potentially when he was on the board, that he was operating outside of the purview of the board at that time. So that would be my only concern.
Council Burke?
And maybe time away has resolved that, you know.
Okay,
that-
because if one of us isn't comfortable voting, then we're not, I don't think we should vote. That's the way I feel. So I'm asking you, do you think we should have a closing date? Or do you want to vote today?
No, we can take a vote, that's fine.
We can vote today?
Yeah.
All right, somebody want to make a nomination?
I nominate Richards French for the Sandy Neck board.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It passes. All right, the next one we have up is, well, he says it's Nate. Nate. Nate? Come on, everything. Of course you can. You brought a buddy.
Barnstable River.
Are you both applying this?
Yes.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm Wilmer De Oliveira. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. Charlie Boone.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Charlie Boone. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too. I saw your picture in the
Nice to meet
newspaper
you.
the other day.
Just a question. No, from the city.
Oh, okay.
Did he submit an application?
He did not,
I
no,
did not.
he did.
Okay, so,
So which one are you, Noah?
He just came as a friend.
all right, so you're not on.
Well, yeah, I would like to.
So yes, submit application.
Yes, I'll get him an
All
application.
right, sure.
Should we do the interview then?
No, you have to submit the application. How you
But
doing,
you
man?
can, you'll see how the interview goes.
So, let me see, Noah, Nate,
Nay.
yeah, Noah.
I'm
No.
Wilmer.
Oh,
He's not
okay,
even on here.
Yeah.
He just applied.
yeah,
We
Nate,
sorry about the confusion. There is a Noah who's supposed to be
yeah.
hearing this on us today.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it, it's always nice to see you, you know, you young men coming in, and young people, I should say these days, coming in and, applying, trying to be part of the town. So what attracted you to be on this committee?
Well, I wanted to join last year, but I got in like super late to the like signing up. And so I talked to George and he said I would have like a really good chance next year. So I really want to give it a shot this year, but I like worked for the lifeguarding for him this year for the town, which was really good. And I don't know, I think I can get a lot out of this youth commission, just like, it's like putting you in a leadership role, you know, and then you just like learn from there, really, I think.
What school, do you go to Barnstable? or-
I go to Sturgis West.
Sturgis West?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you play any sports?
I'm starting lacrosse in about 3 days.
Lacrosse is a blast,
I'm excited. I'm excited. All my friends are playing. It's gonna be fun.
that's great, Council Boo?
I'm just impressed by your enthusiasm
Thank you.
for this. I have no real question. I think you're pretty good guy.
Did your mom put you up to this?
She recommended it to me. I gladly accepted. Gladly accepted. I reached out.
Okay, and as far as, have you attended any of the meetings?
I've attended a meeting last year when I tried to join, but I just like sat down and saw how the meetings ran and stuff, but I didn't really take part.
Okay, and what did you think of the meeting?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. You got, I saw like they were like starting like a fundraiser for something. Not exactly sure, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in something.
In what year are you in school this year?
Junior.
Have you been doing any college searching?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely looking at like Mass Maritime or like some in-state schools, so maybe like a UMass school. or
Or
something.
do you have anything in particular you think you want to study? I know you're young, so you can change your mind 5 times before.
Yeah, but definitely like engineering, maybe like business.
And how do you like having your license?
I love it.
A lot of freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very, you can get away from your sisters a little bit. Or drive them around.
No, I'm the chauffeur. I'm the chauffeur of the house now. I get the taxi, you come pick me up. Oh, I'm the car. I like it.
What sort of other extracurricular activities are you involved in?
At the moment, I mean, I go to the gym every day and then not like really extracurriculars at the moment, but I do like volunteer work over at the Veterans Outreach Center every Thursday after school. Yeah.
And how do you find the workload at Sturgis West?
I mean, well, I'm like doing like the full IB program, so like, it's like a lot of work, but like, I try to get as much. I try to step up here.
Anybody else?
I do like this Zoom setup here. I've never seen one. This is good.
You're on TV. Reported. Just sign the waiver, your likeness and image will be used.
How many openings are there? All these?
They're on no, right now there is 5 openings on the youth commission. They've had 4 members graduate last year. And have not placed anybody new on there yet, so we do have 4 openings, so,
So there's 4.
yes, sir.
4 openings. All right, great. So the way that it works is that, you know, Cynthia will send you an email and say what the decision is. All right,
And I'm gonna get this fine gentleman in next week for the 29th. He's gonna fill out that application, for the youth commission.
great.
You could bring a friend with you.
How are you guys looking for, kids from Barnstable? Is that a lot of them in the commission?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know how many we have in
How
Barnstable.
things we-
The majority of them are from Barnstable. We do have 5 from Sturgis, which is good. And we have 1 from St. John's.
Okay, nice, yeah.
So anybody goes to high school in the town of Barnstable, even if you don't live here, that's one of the committees that has an exception to being able to be a member. You don't actually have to live in Barnstable on the youth commission, but you have to attend one of the public schools to be on it.
And how many applicants?
We have one other gentleman that put in an application that has not come yet, Noah. But Nate is the only other one, and Noah.
All right, great.
Nate, do you ever watch your mom on any of the town council meetings?
I see it on the TV all the time.
Just checking.
Yeah, that's all right, I didn't catch everyone's names, and, you guys are roles, you guys are all town councilors? Or,
Yes.
Okay, what precinct are you guys?
Precinct 8.
Okay,
9.
okay,
2.
okay,
7.
okay, nice, yeah, very nice. Well, I'm campaigning for class president at the moment, so, you know, got a bit of a campaign going on at school with, you know, flyers, pins.
Which class?
Senior class.
Senior
So,
class.
Yeah, I'm in 11th grade, and,
Okay, for
I'm
now.
hoping to, you know, secure a position for next year.
I tell my grandsons to vote for you, but they graduated.
Yeah,
Who's the president now?
the current president is Cole Reposa.
Has been for the whole.
Yeah, he's a 2-year incumbent, so, you know,
Trying to take them
I'm
down.
in a bit of an uphill battle here, but, you know.
Never count yourself out.
Of course,
That's it.
you know, yeah.
Never
that
count
left?
yourself out. Don't anybody tell you you can't do it.
Right.
Word can't doesn't exist.
All right, guys, thanks for coming in.
Love to see both of you.
Yeah, if you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
And
for
we'll see
coming
you
in.
next week. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, buddy.
And I'll make sure I'll get you on the
Can
agenda.
I just bring this event with me when I come?
You can bring that, no, actually, if you can, get it to me sooner.
Okay.
Or, actually, let me put my email on there, and then that way you can just email it right back to me.
What it is as soon as you can.
I'll probably have that filled out, and we can figure out what it's. Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you
Good
guys for
luck
having
with
me.
your election.
Well, thank you.
I will, put the word out. I know a lot of students over there.
You look like the president of that snappy blue blazer.
Oh, hey, I thank you, you
Yeah,
know.
instead of uploading this game.
There you go. Fashion is important, man.
Yes, it is, you know.
All right,
Lady
there you
play
go.
fast, well, you email me if I'm rejected.
There you go.
I will
There you
be in
go.
touch with you. by tomorrow.
All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys, for coming in. Appreciate it.
All right, we have 4 openings, we have 2 applicants, so I think we can meet right up. What do you think? Or do you want to wait, or do you want to close it? How do you guys want to do it?
We have 4 openings and
Mhm.
2
2
applicants.
applicants.
That's fine.
No one hasn't come in yet, but I expect him anytime now.
Okay, good. And then after no is Christine here.
For the council on aging, yeah.
So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to vote on no now, or do you want to close the
You mean Nate?
name? Jeez.
Just making.
Yeah.
They have the same initials.
No, right?
Nate, yeah, do you want to vote on Nate now,
I'm
or?
fine with that.
Okay, want someone want to nominate him?
I'll nominate Nate Lutke for the open position on the Youth Commission expiring June 30th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Yeah, the youth commission is only 1-year terms. So they carry from year to year to year.
Who's next?
Well, I don't know if he's here. I emailed both of them and said, come on down. Nobody yet.
Well, they're scheduled, the last one was scheduled at 5, right?
Correct. Yeah, let me, actually, I can actually call, I can call both of them to see if they're on their way.
Don't bother.
I wish you could download them and play them at like 1.75
Yes.
speed.
Yeah.
You know, thankfully, there's no commercial interruption.
yes.
Actually, maybe that's not good, because that means the whole 5 hours is meeting going.
I watch them on YouTube, just going. Well, not when I attend them, but
10
sometimes I do
second,
watch
you
them.
need 10 second.
Yeah, I just go like on the YouTube, I'll just go, push through it. And if there's.
But I mean, it's nice when you can download it and increase the speed.
Right?
And then hit the 10-second forward button.
Yeah. That's Betty Lucky's son?
Yeah.
I figured as much.
Maybe Kelly.
She has 2 daughters, they're in my daughter's grade,
Yeah.
in the same school.
The twins.
Uh-huh. I forget the names, Augusta and something else. But they're the same age as my daughter, Theodora.
Oh.
They're not in the same class though.
Yeah.
But she knows them.
What grade is she?
My daughter's
Yeah.
5th grade.
Pardon me?
5th grade.
5th grade?
Yeah, she's 10.
God, 5th grade sounds old for 10.
Right?
Is she a young 10? Like, are there kids that are 11 in that grade as well?
There are some. She's an only child, so she kind of, she's around adults. So she's
Yeah,
not-
I just didn't know, like 10 sounds more like something like,
Right?
sounds like too young to me in 5th grade,
Time flies,
for sure.
it really does.
Yeah.
Or, she'll be a teenager.
But you know,
She'll be 30.
yeah, she's married. and so-
Time flies. I guess we just wait and see who shows.
Yeah, they both should be here. They both acknowledged. But that's up to you guys. I mean, if
What are you
they,
saying?
we're missing Christine and
Did they email or?
no, yeah, they emailed both. Let me see if I can call Christine. See if she's on her way.
If not, we'll give them like 10 minutes.
Sure.
What would we, we should wait for some. Make sure we know.
It was crazy that it happened so beautiful yesterday.
Oh my God, right?
Couldn't believe I was actually in my t-shirt.
I know, thank God, weather's changing.
I turned my indoor shower off. I mean, my indoor shower on. I'm not using my indoor shower anymore. I don't care how cold it is. That's it, done.
Braver than I am.
Well, I mean, it's like right outside my master bedroom, so like, you go out and turn the water on, let it heat up, and then you go. But I love it, and my neighbor was, had his, he heats with wood sometimes, so it was like, I could smell he obviously had his wood stove going, and I'm like, oh, and it was sunny, and the birds were singing. This is the best way to start a day.
So, the vacation we just on, was that New Zealand?
No, British Virgin Islands,
Oh, okay.
no, that'd be nice though, but that's
Well,
a little far.
Paula just got back from New Zealand.
Oh, did she? Did she like
And
it?
she loved it. And
Yeah,
then
it's
I just have a friend of mine, just got back from New Zealand. She was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you gotta go for at least 2.
She said it was beautiful,
Yeah.
but she felt like she was kind of trapped.
Hmm.
Because you're on an island.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, felt kind of trapped, but it was beautiful.
But it's
And
big,
it's far away. I mean, like.
Oh,
you're-
I think it's 16 hours from California, so it's like
It's a
22
lot,
hours from here.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to Australia. It's a long haul.
Was that 24?
No, I think, well, I don't know, because we actually started from here and we went to Hong Kong, then we went to Thailand, Malaysia.
Oh,
We
okay.
ended up going to Australia, and then we came all the way back through California, and I was 9. When you're
Oh,
9,
yeah.
you don't care. And that was back in the day, they let us sleep on the floor of the airplane.
Yeah,
So because it was such a long flight, that's when they gave pillows and blankets, and they just let us sleep on the floor of the airplane for the whole flight home. So I think we were fairly well rested. I remember my ears bothering me, but other than that, none of that stuff fazed me, because when you're 9, none of that
I mean,
stuff.
I remember the first time I flew, I was like 7 or 8, 6, 7 or 8 in that area. And I remember the movie 10. Remember that movie 10?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, appropriate for a kid my age. And people were ripping butts on the plane. And I mean,
Right.
but at least they used to give you like a whole meal.
Oh, I know, with real cutlery.
Yeah.
I know, that's back in the day, and they didn't charge you for your drinks, though.
No.
And those came in actual glass,
Yeah.
like glass, glasses,
Oh, the good old
the
days.
good old days.
I've been on a plane like 3 times in my whole life, so there you go.
Where did you go?
Nowhere good.
Florida?
Pennsylvania,
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Ah,
to Georgia once, to Florida, to Jacksonville, and once to Disney World.
I was gonna say, have you taken your daughter to Disney?
No, I haven't. It's too expensive.
Noah's not answering, and I left a voicemail for Christine.
Yeah.
Well, we'll adjourn at 5:15.
Yeah, they were,
If I
both
could.
scheduled at,
You're right.
Noah was,
10 years younger.
10 minutes to 5, and she was at 5 o'clock.
40s.
Right,
They've never been.
yeah.
And they're like, they will never go.
Noah
We have children that
might
will never
be
go.
at the-
And they were just, they would get in the summer.
Winds of,
Because they-
maybe a ride getting
Just stay
here.
home, huh? It's a good thing.
Yeah, I left a
Maybe
voicemail
car or-
asking if you wanted to,
They would just Pick a road and start.
reschedule
driving.
to the 29th. I'd be happy to hear from them. If you couldn't make it today, same thing with Christine.
Sounds like fun.
And my cousin.
Oh, did we have an update? Sorry, we're chatting.
No, I called both and left a voicemail on their phones. Christine was scheduled at 5. I had an email from her saying that she would be here, and Noah was scheduled at 4:15. And I left him a voicemail as well, but Councilor Bloom had a good point. Maybe Noah couldn't get here because he doesn't have a car. So I left him a voicemail saying that if he wanted to reschedule to the 29th, we'd be happy to interview him on the 29th.
Yeah.
Your chair said we'd wait till 5:15 to see if anybody came, and then we could adjourn.
Sounds great.
So we know what we're doing for next time?
Yeah, 3:30 meeting,
Yeah,
and we're voting on ZBA,
yeah. Infrastructure and energy.
infrastructure, energy. The next council meeting, we're gonna announce, Main Street waterfront applications are closing.
Yeah.
Applications for Main Street waterfront appeals are closing.
We're gonna motion to suppress, suspend. the
Yeah,
rules.
motion to suspend the rules. For CPAC. For CPAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Like I said, I won't be there. I'm gonna try to zoom in, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I'll be able to.
And on the 29th, we're gonna try to interview what other groups of people?
The Hyannis Main Street waterfront historic, there's 2 individuals.
Okay, And we have,
Amanda Converse and Eric Schwab both put in applications for that position.
and do we want, is there anyone else that we think we need to interview on the 29th, or just the two people? And
We do have other applications.
did we wanna,
Asia, the next three applications are for the Human Services Committee. There's Asia Graves, Suzanne Welsh, and Kevin Matthews.
and I think there's another one too, I thought there were four.
Wendy Crocker, sorry, Wendy Crocker, yep.
Do we wanna,
What do you guys think? We have a lot of voting to do. On all the people that were interviewed that haven't voted on yet, we're all voting on them on the 29th. Not the 29th, but it was the 30th, the
29th,
The
yeah.
29th.
We can reschedule.
Yeah, so we have to know, we have to vote, so we'll do maybe whatever is closing
Right, and
on
now,
that day.
I have a question relative to closing. So should we, in order to, like, so for instance, with these other committees that we've interviewed, but then we say, oh, wait, we're gonna close it now. Should we not close the application period, then interview, then vote, like, right, 1, 2, 3? Do you know what I mean, when it comes, not that we could do it with the things we've already begun, but
It's a good idea.
if we just say, at each meeting, we say, okay, well, the following categories are gonna close, and then we'll interview those people and vote in a short order. Do you know what I'm saying? Rather than saying, because we're saying here, like, oh, well, should we wait till next time because we still could get some applications? Or wouldn't it be more direct? You know what I mean?
Well, I
So
think,
then-
I think the best way to do it is to put on the website.
Yeah, with it, we're closing?
But applications, no, because this is, don't forget, we just were appointed.
Right, yeah,
So the next year,
yeah.
what we do is we put for each,
Oh, a closing date
Opening,
on the web.
a
yes,
closing
I see what you
date.
mean, Yeah,
this closes on 4/1, this
Right.
closes on 4/7.
absolutely.
Because the ones that we have, like the CPAC, that has to be populated before,
Right,
okay? CBA, that
Yeah.
has to be populated. The regulatory stuff has to be populated.
so those you can have a rolling.
I also like your idea I think that's what you wanted to do, have everybody say in the conservation committee, one right after the other.
Right, so that we close we only interview people after we've closed the application process. I don't know if that would slow it down, but then at least it would be clearer.
Well, see, then that would, like CPAC, we can't do that.
Yeah, well, there could be some that could be rolling,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that we never really close.
Just know that all these vacancies that occur that people put in are sitting on the town council
And
webpage
have been for ages.
every day
So it doesn't even really matter if they're.
for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I guess what I think, us new people, I'll speak for myself, what myself as a news person thinks, and I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. Is that, I know they've been on the website, but we have new people who may have new residents engaged in the policies that we might wanna get involved. And those people might not even know that we're undertaking this process, because we're not really, I don't know, because I didn't watch the last two meetings, how much are we advertising at large at meetings,
I know Lynn Poyon puts all of it, because she asks me for it. She
Yeah.
puts it on all the social media things that she does anyway. But as far as recruitment, you can keep these, open for. Somebody could make an announcement at the town council webpage saying that all vacancies for our boards, committees, and commissions currently sit on the town council webpage. They'll be open for the next, 2 weeks.
we made that announcement last week.
Yeah, and we'll be
Yeah.
interviewing on such and such a date and appointing people on such and such a date.
Yeah.
That's why I suggested closing the week after the town council meeting,
Yeah.
was because, so we can announce it during the meeting.
Right,
At least if somebody's interested.
Okay.
yeah,
I guess
and
I'm just
I think,
wondering if we kind of like what you're saying is like, we know that we have these, like, but what's the future plan? Maybe we should be developing a future plan so that we can even start.
Well,
pushing those.
that's why I suggested that we put a close date on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, so say like, for instance, something pops up today, the close date for these applications is a year from today. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or every-
Several months from today.
I'm just wondering, after we go through ZBA, energy and infrastructure, CPAC, we're working on Hyannis Main Street, we're working on the regular, and we're also working on the appeals. We have some council on aging, like what other things do we really need to like bite into that we haven't even like touched our hands on yet?
Well,
All the openings.
Well,
No, but you know, like when they. get to
Well,
the-
Okay, what?
in my opinion, regulatory takes.
Yeah,
precedent.
yeah, so what
So-
boards are those that we need to do?
ABA.
No, I know, we're doing that. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is beyond,
Hyannis, Main Street Waterfront
Yep, we
Historic
have-
District Appeals needs somebody, because they do not have quorum right now.
yeah,
And they can't meet if there's an appeal.
yeah. And we're interviewing them on 329.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have ZBA, we need to vote on that. We have the appeals to interview, then we'll vote on that. We interviewed one person for Hyannis Main Street Waterfront District, and maybe we want to just do a call to action in case there's anybody out there else who also wants to apply. CFAC, we're gonna, have somebody in there. We have some council on aging people here, Sandy Neck, Youth Commission. What would be next on our agenda?
I think,
Human Services?
Yeah,
yeah, human services and,
those are the ones, I've got 4 applications for human services, and that will exhaust everybody that's submitted one to date
All right.
is what's in this folder,
Are
so.
there any other boards or committees where we really need to be getting the word out that we want to be?
Yeah, if you, the other thing is the town council webpage also has the potential vacancies listed as of 6/30/2024. So if anybody wants to submit an application, the board could be full. But those that currently are in there don't necessarily get automatic reappointment. So if we get new applications in for any of those boards that are expiring, then I would suggest we make that announcement to get those in, because you're gonna be working on those in April. So that's what you'd want to work on next, just getting the word out there to
Yeah.
pay attention to the town council webpage, because there's vacancies and then there's potential vacancies as of 6/30/2024.
yeah, and we should pump it up, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
Yeah,
during the council meetings, at least make announcements. And anybody, and any of us can,
anybody can make that
Can make
announcement.
the
at the
announcement.
council level, yeah.
Who wants to make it this week?
Motion to adjourn?
yeah, somebody could make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
You are adjourned.
Those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Moore, for attending.
All right.